Hi guys, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344 here with a reading for you from the Divine Feminine perspective, but it includes a lot of information about both the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine. And I'll do oracle cards at the end like I usually do. I think it's Thursday today. It is September 6, 2018. Saturn goes direct today. So big shift for us. And the new moon's coming up on Sunday, on the 9th. So I want to get right into it. A lot of stuff came up this morning, and some stuff, as I said, school information came up the other day, and then yesterday again about the feminine and her perspective on herself and her beauty, on her physical self. So make sure you look at those wounds as well. I'm going to bring up just a few things from the 4th to today, because I wasn't here yesterday, and then we'll get into today. On on the 4th, after I posted, Open Arms came up. So if you want to listen to that song, as well as the Crescent Moon was coming up, and 3 Queens came up. 3 Queens and the Crescent Moon. So we're coming up to that Crescent Moon now, with the new moon coming. So we're in the Crescent Moon, basically. Also, Clearing of Infection came up. And it came up, it's been coming up a lot, with my sand art and the teeth cleaning. It's just representative of an infection. Something's infected and needs to be cleared out. So that's what we're doing. Like the last of the little infections is what we're clearing for your I Am presence. And Mary Magdalene's been coming up again, and it was interesting because I saw Mary Magdalene's M. It came up in regards to my twin and the Crescent Moon. Both came up on the 4th. And then I saw a tarot card on the 4th, right after I had written some notes about that literally had, and it wasn't what was supposed to be on the card, it's just what you see, was like an M inside the blinds of a window. You saw an M and a crescent moon right after I talked about the crescent moon and Mary Magdalene. So that was pretty cool. The movies I watched on the 4th, I watched The Sweetheart, and then on the 5th, My Blue Valentine. So it's all about, romantic relationships. My Sweetheart and My Blue Valentine, blue. And it was funny because in the Blue Valentine, during the movie, it goes back in time, and it shows that they got married in Pennsylvania, and I live in Pennsylvania, so that was kind of funny. But yeah, there was a big connection with your twin is coming up. It's so important, your 5D connection. So it's so important to meditate. There's no getting around meditation. Because you build up your strength of your connection is in your etheric connection. That's what grounds it into this realm, because we're leaving the 3D. Before, you never saw twins because it was so hard to ground twins into the 3rd dimension. Now we're going into the 4th dimension. This is the bridge, so we're able to ground it in the 4D, going into the 5D. So it's so important that you do your meditation and connect with your twin. Even if it's just, use your intention to connect physically and connect eye to eye with your twin. And again, words are overrated. It's about the physical, energetic connection. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Some other stuff that came up yesterday was for He's a Jolly Good Fellow. And if that means anything, let me know, as well as the keys were coming up again. Also, a line from an old song I wrote came up. I wrote for my son. It was called Choose Lullaby. And the song that came, the line that came up as the message was, I'll always do what's right, teach him of the white light, teach him all I know, I'll just turn out the light and say goodnight. So that's all you can do. It's actually coming up for me now. You know, the relationship between you and your child is so pure. All you can do is teach him what you know and then let go. And Spirit's connecting with me. The stars are out. That's what brought it up. The stars are out. I'll always do what's right, teach him of the white light, teach him all I know, I'll just turn out the light and say goodnight. Tutus were coming up yesterday. So the tutu, the ballerina tutu, as well as twos. 3 twos came up yesterday, as well as 14, 6, 22, 6, 26, 66, 42, 12. 9 tutu also came up, and 10 4. And yesterday for the Divine Feminine, it was all about the Queen of Swords and the Page of Swords, so mother and child, or just their inner child. And there was like a switch coming up. And some of it that comes through onto today, or into today. And also the world wars were coming up yesterday. Oh, that's interesting. And there's something I wrote down yesterday too about World War I. It had to do with the 94th Air Squadron, which was World War I. Started out in Texas, and that was actually August 20th, 1917, Kelly Fields in Texas, and then I was guided to write this down for some reason. September 30th, 1917, to Long Island in order for them to go overseas, where they went to Liverpool and then to France and then to Paris. They were in France on 11/11, 1917, and then to Paris on 11/18, 1917, which actually adds up to 18, so 11/18/18. So that was interesting. So if it connects with anything for you, let me know. New beginnings. Yesterday was the Knight of Wands and the Hierophant energy, which is all about, you know, passionate movement, and the Hierophant, which is all about commitment. And there were wishes everywhere, everywhere. Past couple days, wishes been flying everywhere. So I'd gone into the kitchen yesterday morning. I was at the sink, and I saw 2 wishes stuck together flying by the window, and I saw they were headed downward, so I ran to get my phone to get a picture of it, because I knew I wasn't going to catch it then at the window, but I thought maybe if they land on the deck I'll catch them. But I'm like, you know, being wishes, they won't stay there. So I get my phone and I ran out back, and lo and behold, on the deck were the 2 wishes about this far apart, stuck on the deck. One was kind of rolling back and forth, but the other one was staying still. So the one was kind of vacillating a little, but not leaving. They both stayed there the whole time, and were still there actually when I went out again. And then when I was lying out in the sun yesterday, a wish landed right inside on my arm here and stuck to me because I was sweating. And then a few minutes later, another one landed right on the towel next to my inner elbow and stayed. So that was kind of cool. 2 wishes and 2 wishes. But they were everywhere, flying everywhere. Okay, so Also, yesterday 58 came up, and it comes up again this morning, which I'll bring up in a second. 57 and 58. 57 is the Three of Swords, and 58 is the Four of Swords. And the 4D bridge was coming up yesterday as well. I went out to do a little shopping yesterday. I had to go pick up something for my daughter, and I have some baby showers to go to. So, and my heart wasn't really into it. But I had to go do the errand for my daughter, so I figured I'd go up there and see if there was anything, you know, for the baby gifts. And I ended up, I used to wear my watch when I worked every day. Always had a watch on. And ever since I left my job of 25 years, I haven't been wearing a watch at all. And I really don't care about it. I mean, I have watches to wear. But I saw, you know, a nice watch yesterday. It was just an inexpensive watch, but I thought it was cute, so I actually bought it. And that was really strange. That's a shift right there, because today I actually put it on, and that was a message today too, that it's union time. The time is here. Because watches were a big deal in my journey, as I've explained before, because the watch I used to wear all the time stopped at the time of my birth, exactly. And the seconds were actually between the minutes. It was 11:44 to 45. The seconds on the watch were the day of my twin's birthday. So messiness also came up, as it's okay to be messy. Life is messy. That's some of the fun about life, is messiness. Allowing the messiness, the friction, the being out of alignment, because then it expands to coming back into alignment, to reorganizing. So when you're disorganized, you're out of alignment. That's the friction, the contrast, the change, you know, what can be painful, because when you make a mess, right, you have to clean up afterward. But it's really just the thoughts about cleaning up that are painful. It's not actually painful to be messy. But just being disorganized, you know, don't go to extremes one way or the other. It's just like drinking or doing anything like that. It's always back to 0 point, moderation. The farther away you stray, the harder it is to come back, and you're going to swing to the other side. Dolphins came up, to listen to dolphin music. You know, it'll help bring you into alignment. It's something that our souls are very familiar with. The dolphins and whales, but dolphins specifically were coming up yesterday. Okay, and I'm going to go first into my sand art. I'm going to show you a picture of the read today, so I don't forget to show it to you. Okay, this is for the Divine Feminine today. Okay. So you can get a good shot if you want to study it. So, my sand art, and this was from last night. I didn't give you the sand art from the day before, but that was interesting too, because as I showed you the bride sand art the other day, not last night, but the night before, a sand art came up with two brides walking down the aisle, but there were weird scenarios and revolving around that. One was where two people were getting married together, and one person died. One of the grooms all of a sudden wasn't there. And then there were different scenarios where, so obviously if someone passed away, and it could just be representative of a situation, not a death, but if one groom died in that situation, then the two brides walking down the aisle would just fall to pieces, because, you know, this wedding would be ruined for both of them, not just the one. The other was when the two brides were fighting over someone, and I can't remember the other, but it was kind of, you know, they were just kind of strange scenarios, where the one groom kind of disappeared at the end, Oh, the other one was two brides walking down the aisle to get married, and the two grooms fell in love. So that's another situation. So if any of that resonates with you guys, let me know, because they are, they're not your usual situations. The sand art from today was really beautiful. So it begins where I see the Divine Feminine lying in bed on the left and the Divine Masculine laying in bed on the right. They're both still awake. So it's before going to sleep. The Divine Feminine births an egg with all of her heart, covers and warms the egg while falling apart to come back together, and Spirit's connecting with me in a new way. Very emotionally, evening out and calming the emotions over the birthing process, as the Divine Masculine then falls apart after she does to connect, becoming a tail extension of the Divine Feminine warming the egg, a little bit at a time, and then fully dropping into his heart with the help from angels, fully embodied as one, in one big emotional splash, as salt sprinkles over them and adding flavor to the union, the Divine Feminine already settling, and the Divine Masculine still dealing with large mouths around him that melt away with Mother Mary, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. As the chain of events become entertainment, the cherry on top, as the Divine Feminine is sprinkled and covered in warmth, all the way up to her crown, the Divine Masculine guiding her way, her lighthouse. How beautiful is that? I mean, it was so clear. It was really beautiful. Okay, so today, being September 6, 2018, as we had just passed 1717 on the clock, the day, the 6th, of course, is the lovers, so it's all about the lovers, and the day adds up to 26/8, which is the Page of Wands, which is about excitement and being young again and maybe asking someone out on a date. It's about being inspired. And the day's date, the coding today was all about the number 5. So we have the lovers and the Page of Wands, so that's definitely mixed for a possible date. Inspiration, having fun together, a message. So I woke up today at 8:58 when my friend messaged me, so I got a ding at 8:58. And 58 is the 4 of Swords. And then when I did my read this morning, the code number was 5, and then within the coding, I ended up writing down 5 and 8, because 8 is the infinity. It's 5-8, and I woke up at 8:58. I got up at 9:09, so that's 9-9 coming up. Talking about, and I was listening to something that was talking about the next 5 years, so it was all about 5. And the challenge with for the Divine Feminine about becoming good at dealing with her finances and her practical things, bringing all that into alignment and balance again. And connecting with your Divine Masculine. Just, even if it's just for a moment, to sit into your heart space and ask for a message, or write messages. If you don't have good clairaudience, you don't hear things, then write the words to your Divine Masculine, or send pictures to your Divine Masculine. Work on your telepathy with each other. Always be feeling into your heart space to come back to balance. And it felt very light this morning. And I connected with my Divine Masculine this morning. I had a big sneeze, and then I feel good, just like I knew I would. I feel good. All right, so, and the read felt very light. And I said that to myself, light and sweet, pink and blue. And it reminded me of the small chapel I was in the south of France of Mary Magdalene. And Mary Magdalene had come up yesterday. And then when I was putting out the Romance Angel cards, which were 5, which I have 5 again, and I don't usually have 5 Romance Angel cards that come out, I started sweating, which I always say I get when I get masculine energy coming in. That the King of Swords at 1010 was not quite in alignment. And perfection came up, which I just talked about, messiness, and a lot of anger here. So there's a lot of anger still in the Divine Masculine that he still needed to let go of this morning. And so I wanted to bring up 2. I told you that something good to do to release back pain that I discovered is with your intent to push your energy down your chakra column and out. And in my energy book, there's literally, and I forget the name of the exercise, but it's the Donna Eden energy book. One of the exercises is to put your hands on your thighs and do that. You know, it's an anger release exercise actually in the book. So this is why I'm bringing it up, for the anger. And then you raise your hands up and inward, and you make fists above your head, and then you pull your hands down quickly. And with your intention, though, use your etheric column, your chakra column, pushing this out of you, and then you lean over and do it, and then your hands back up on your thighs again into a relaxed stand. Okay? So see if that helps, because it's definitely been helping my back pain. I'm really not having the same back pain that I was since I started doing this, and it's really just pushing energetic anger out of you. So try that too. For the Divine Masculines who are coming up to still have a little residual anger in them, you might want to try that. Okay? Not quite in alignment, a lot of anger here. And again, we always bring up, you store anger in your joints, your knees, your hips, your feet. That's where you may feel some pain due to anger. And also could store in your liver, so I was told. All right, so the coding today for the Divine Feminine, which was at 10:10 this morning, the major arcana were Starseed, which is the Fool, Transition, which is the Death card, Luna, the Moon, Wheel of Fortune, and Alchemy, which is the Temperance card. There were 3 wands, 1 pentacle, 1 cup, 1 sword. So there's action today for the Divine Feminine. The Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups were the only court cards, but the after the read card that I always pull was the Queen of Pentacles. So you here have 3 queens again. And it was all about rebirth in the coding. The messages I was getting from the coding was 5 is all, you know, only the number 5 came up. From the cards, I also got the number 25, which is a quarter, by the way. But 5 is that change, expansion, freedom, sexual energy, romance, children. But that expansion energy, it's coming up as the vibration of that. You know, the 101010, okay, the vibration of the 5 is the great circuit of Sophia, energy of the heart, is ready for rebirth. So also is getting in reference to this 5, which is also IV fire. So think about that. IV fire would be, an IV comes in very slowly and gently, okay, patiently. And it's talking about that as far as fire or expansion energy, to do it very gradually, okay. So I was getting IV fire, also that ETs are great access to Sophia's heart, all right, so the Divine Feminine's heart, the oversoul of the Divine Feminine, the rebirth. Remember, rebirth, birth is all about the feminine. IV fire is slow and steady, like 01010101, etc., to keep anger at a minimum. And then I was getting ACLS, like life support. Okay, so life support, in order to keep yourself balanced at 0 point. Keep your anger at a minimum by, staying at moderation. Don't go out to the extremes. Keep close to 0 point. And it's coming up now because I guess it's especially important right now with the expansion energy, because there will be fires that come up that I could just feel it. When I went out yesterday, I didn't have any negative experiences with anyone, but the energy that I felt out there of everyone going back to school and being stressed out all of a sudden, I felt that for sure. And it was stressing me out a little bit. So the 5 of expansion, which is also the triangle, and then the T came up. So 5, expansion, the triangle, and T are coming up about source energy, or the infinity, staying at 0 point, or the circuit of energy around 0 point is the infinity. And they were making a joke about it, that it's Sophia's electric company, okay? So the circuit of the 8, the feminine flow, the, I can't think of the word. Well, anyway, it's just coming up again, the numbers 5 and 8, about the expansion and then the circuit of energy, to not allow it to go too far away from 0 point. Don't let the 8 become too big, because the farther out you go, the longer it takes to come back to 0 point for rebirth, okay? Sophia's electric company. And also the T squares and grand crosses came up to look at, because we see in a T square or a cross, it's perpendicular at cross purpose, right? The T square, it's friction, it instigates, it teases, it's misaligned energy, it's misaligned creation. T is like the quarterback facing the defense, right? So the quarterback's got all this great energy to go forward, but he's got to get past the defense line. That's a block. So the T square is in opposition, making a square to a third planet, which is the isosceles triangle, okay? And then I got propelled onto another site. It was angelfire.com, actually, which is all about the Nostradamus predictions and that kind of thing, the prophecies. And I was one of the selections for me to choose from in looking up T-square, Grand Cross, was the prophecy calendar of 2018 to 20. So, and I want to bring up about the T-square too, is, the one corner of the square, because there's only 3 corners in a T, is the detriment, or the fall, which is where we are right now in the fall. Okay, and what I was guided to exactly was angelfire.com, revelations13.net. So it talks about a lot of things about the predictions for the next few years coming up. If you want to reference it, you certainly can go in there. But the last trine it showed was the trine for tomorrow, which is the 7th. And then it skips to April of 2019. Because April of 2019 is 66 years and 6 months, or 666, from the time they consider the Antichrist as Putin, who was born 1952, the Russian president, as instigating World War III. Okay, this is from Revelation 16, the great nuclear war around the Middle East, and predicting some kind of missile attack in 2018 to 20. But this was also predicted to be defeated by Christ in Revelation 19 of 2019 to 20, with the armies considered aliens and UFOs invasion. In Revelation 19:11 in the King James Version, and it doesn't matter the version, we're not talking about the content of the Bible, we're talking about the message that I was being guided to. Revelation 19:11, the King James Version, and I saw heaven opened, and behold a white horse, which they describe as a UFO, at 19:14, and the armies which are in heaven followed him upon white horses, or UFOs, and then going into part 15, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with he should smite the nations. Powerful UFO weapon defeats the nations of earth. Okay, so it talks about the 144,000 chosen ones will gather with Christ in Revelations 7 and 14. And these 144,000 will assist the Christ in taking over the earth. And it talks about the aliens actually being the half human, half alien souls, okay? So they will assist Christ in taking over the earth in an alien invasion of earth and coming out of the new Jerusalem city down to earth from outer space. And they call it Christ headquarters. And they talk about the reasons for Christ coming down with his army had to do with concerns of global warming and destruction on earth, of the planet. And then in Revelations 11:18, also possible the rapture, where millions disappear through alien invasion, which we know what that is. It's actually just changing dimensions. And then there were paintings of the spaceships coming in to the planet of two suns. And the paintings, and I was just researching about T, the paintings were literally by T. Chase. There was no first name, just the initial T dot and Chase. Okay? So again, we're bringing up the T, the block. The planet invasion of the two suns. The 144,000 chosen ones gather with Christ, and they speculate that that's New York City. In Revelation 14, 144,000 are sealed in their foreheads, thought to be brain implants, to prepare for invasion. They assist Christ's lead alien in taking over the earth. So you see Christ as being called an alien. So we all get that parallel, right? And also you have to realize that if you're not a twin, for those who are speaking to you twins, if you're not a twin, you're not going to understand what the twins are going through. So you can't teach to the people who aren't twins what you teach to the twins, because they're not going to understand it. It's not going to make sense. So there are going to be different teachings out there, and you have to accept that both are okay and correct, because what's correct for the twins may not be correct for other people, because if you haven't experienced being a twin, you're not going to understand that. It brought up more information about the numbers, you know, because 666 has always been identified as the devil's number. In Revelations 22:1 and 22:2, the river of the water of life is considered DNA, or the tree of life, the evolution of the DNA. Revelation 22, alteration of the DNA to make humans more peaceful. The great white king. Revelation 9:3, in the King James Version, that the locusts upon earth, the alien praying mantis, like queen bees, control others with their psychic powers. Okay? So, just showing you the perspective of the writings, because what someone saw before as something alien to them, you know, we now know in our psychic abilities and seeing Pleiadians and Sirians and Arcturians, and that, you know, it's quite normal for us to see this now. And it's quite normal for us to understand the combination of a human angel and coming into our psychic powers, okay? It was also discussing how the ETs are controlling the earthquakes out off the coast of LA. So actually, if people on Earth are trying to instigate earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, we're being told in this prophecy that Jesus and his group are actually preventing these from happening off the coast. They may actually be doing some kind of injections or, you know, instigations to stop this. So then some of the numbers, the definitions of the numbers were coming up as far as in Greek, because 666 is identified as the Antichrist. And now remember, We are the light and the dark. All right? There is no separation. We're in the 4D. 4D is purgatory, okay? We're not talking about the devil in the traditional sense. We know that God is everything. We are the light and the dark. We can choose to stay at 0 point, or we can choose to expand to the dark side of ourselves or the light side of ourselves. Okay? 777 is identified as the cross. Okay? Which again, I brought up in the T square, or the Grand Cross. 888 is defined as Jesus, and 666 as Antichrist. And also they talked about 42 years in the Antichrist, since 42 months had to do with the reign of the Antichrist. And then there were some other dates that came up. And they bring up the date that Putin was in New York City with Obama talking at the UN on September 28, 2015. Which happens to be, it was just right around September 28th when I first energetically connected with my twin. And it said this is during the total lunar eclipse, but I'm not positive because I didn't look that up. If that date, September 28th, was a total lunar eclipse that year, I can't remember. But again, this is all the perception of how you read things. You know, 5 different people can read the same sentence 5 different ways. So none of this should put you into fear if you're where you're supposed to be, okay? And if you're just starting out the journey, yes, it may put you into fear. But my perspective, my knowing, and it's kind of interesting because I wasn't raised religiously, I've never believed in the devil. I always felt like this living on earth was the difficult part. You know, this is purgatory, living here, because we're not in our true selves. I always wanted to go home. That was my feeling, and that's common amongst twins. Because we know the peace of home. So tomorrow is a trine of Mercury, Virgo, Saturn, Capricorn, and Neptune, Taurus, that was significant and brought up in these prophecies. And I ended up talking to my twin friend this morning about all of this. And we were talking about 52 came up. Putin was born October 7th, 1952. And 52 is significant to me, but it's also the Queen of Swords. And here we are at the Grand Trine tomorrow, or this trine that's important tomorrow on September 7th. And his birthday is October 7th, 1952. And from what I've learned in birthdays and astrology is that the month before your birthday is the fall of your year, right? It's your detriment, the last month of the year. And then on your birthday starts like the high month of your year. So here we are for Putin in his detriment month of the year, from September 7th to October 7th. So that was interesting. And then I ended up talking to my friend for 52 minutes, ending at 12:25, and 25 came up today as well. But I literally got, it's time. And then she got all in, separately, as we called back each other. So there are many messages of this. And also the prophecies had to do with Russia and China and Iran, you know, joining forces as the dragon, the lion, and the bear. And the way I could figure it out, because they weren't clear in which was which, because they weren't sure, because there were different perspectives on it. What I was getting was that red China was the power of the dragon, the mouth was Iran, and the bear, or the feet, was Russia. And that was at 11:07 when I was writing that stuff down. And when my twin flame friend texted me, it was 11:11. It was what woke me up this morning, 8:58, and then again at 11:11. And then we talked at 11:33. So it was an important conversation. And I ended up talking to her. She saw a hitchhiker on the road. So I went on to finish doing my read, but I talked to her, because, you know, it was so weird to see a hitchhiker on the road. When we were young, people used to hitch all the time when I was a teenager. And it brought up Mary Vincent, because Mary Vincent, I said, you know, think about Mary Vincent, you know, if you think it's uncomfortable for a hitchhiker, or to see a hitchhiker and the thoughts of picking up a hitchhiker, Mary Vincent, you know, the story of her, you know, she had been a guy she met out in California after running away from home, and offered a ride and took her out to the desert and cut her hands off, and she waited for him to leave and then walked down the highway because he assumed she was dead or was going to die. She walked down the highway with her arms up in the air, bleeding out, and actually was picked up and survived. And I ended up writing a song about her, so it always stuck in my mind. But just think about how scary that would be in the middle of the night, driving down the road in the middle of the desert and seeing this woman walking down naked with no hands above her head, bleeding out, and seeing that, you know, she needs help. I mean, she can't hurt you. She has no hands. And just think how you'd feel about that. You know, you'd think about, this person's going to bleed all over my car. You know, the superficial things that would come up for you. Whereas we just need to be thinking about what's important. You know, this person's been abandoned and left for dead, and of course we're going to pick them up. So it was just the extreme, to just, you know, passing someone hitching on the road, to maybe they just really need a hand. Okay, I'm not supporting picking up hitchhikers, but you understand my purpose. So getting into the read was it starts out with the underlying energy of the Queen of Wands, which I always say, you know, references for me a lot the karmic energy, the superficial energy about looking good, right? So the Grand Cross then comes up as the isosceles triangle, or the fourth side, as a detriment. The karmic detriment is the base, the root chakra, the stability, security, and safety. Okay, so this is their detriment, because they're superficial, because they're only focused on their safety, security, and stability, their base chakra. It's all about the conflict or the friction, the IV fire, the constant stress. So after the Hermit sheds light on conflict of loss of money and power, the worst is over. All is done. At the full moon, the messenger of truth came in to unite and celebrate and get others to want to learn more. So here we're talking about everyone's coming back to school. We had the Knight of Wands energy yesterday of getting busy, very physical, you know, and that's that energy of going back to school. There's so much to do, you know. The kids may be excited or scared, but getting in and have to get organized. What classes do they have? You know, there's so much stress going on. And then the moms are stressed out because there's so much to do for the kids and get organized. But at the same time, they're probably happy to get the kids back in school. Okay? So there's news or message that are out in the open of duality and the pit of despair. And you notice when you break despair up, you have dis and pair, right? A bad combination. A pairs too. So the pit of despair, when two aren't getting along, when you're not connected with your higher self, is even a two. So the olive pit came up. And then the year numbers came up for me, which further revealed information. So the letter O in numerology is 15. And I was getting olive as O, live, or live. And then P for pit is P-I-T, and P being the number 16. We have two of the harshest numbers. 15 is the devil and 16 is the tower energy. O-P. So the 15 of O, but O is also representative of God. Because as a human, God is nothingness, and then it's with a boundary, because we're human. The body is a boundary around source. So we see this, the O is actually the devil energy. Because as long as we're human, we have a boundary around our source love energy. And this will always be the devil, the polarity of God. So you see how that works? And then I went to QRS, so we're going through the years that we're in right now. We went through 2015, 16, 17. 17 is the Q, 18 is the R, and 19 is the S. And I got Sophia for 19. R is the rebirth that's going on now. And then I got T, again, the T after S is 20, the year 20. 2020 equals equals pi, because it's two T's, 2020, pi. It's the collective consciousness of union, of inner union. So 2020 supplies the instigation to bring the collective consciousness into inner union. Okay, so the missing quarter of this is the detriment, is the fall, which is now. The fall, just like going, you know, the fall was when I went into my bubble phase. 15 is 0 equals devil energy, because it's a boundary around God. 0 minus the devil equals source. And then came up combinations of what I was seeing in a card, which I had never seen before. A combination of olive oil and sunflower seeds, or even tea leaves were coming up, and pits, whether it was the olive pit or the apricot pits or kernels, because people eat apricot kernels because it has amygdalin in them. They eat them for cancer, and amygdalin is naturally in a lot of foods we eat, but in the United States it's usually killed off by the processing, but it is a natural part of food. It's just in very small quantities, and it actually helps kill off cancer cells. I was also getting salt and pepper. It was like preparing a meal of olive oil and apricot kernels and sunflower seeds, and even tea leaves. I wasn't sure about the tea leaves, but there's some kind of leaves. It could have just been plates with the toothpicks to serve to someone with salt and pepper. And I was getting this combination as a cure for anger, for greed, for revenge. So along with that exercise I was showing you, I was being guided now to also tell you this food combination. So olive oil and sunflower seeds, or it could be even apricot kernels or seeds, because they're the pits, like the pits of the apricot. And also cuticles came up again. So there's a combination here somewhere that's a cure for anger, for greed, for revenge, as the High Priestess's magic potion for karmic conflict. Olive pits, olive branch, and a toothpick spread. Okay, so having a spread out with toothpicks. And it was also, because this was also coming up today, is the alignment between the divine feminine and the karmic feminine. You need to bring yourselves into alignment, and I brought this up on my last video about the thermodynamic laws, and that if you're aligned with the third, then you're naturally aligned with the second. And so you need to be in alignment with your karmic to be aligned to your twin. Okay? So it's like source equals the pit, because the pit is the source. It's the source of the fruit. It's where it comes from. So back to school. When kids go back to school, teachers are pushing their truth, but it's also fun with friends, but it's also conflict for mothers, stressing out about staying organized and budgeted. The King of Swords, and something came up too, like I'll sometimes put my nails on my upper lip because it feels nice, it's smooth, but it also is bringing the cuticles close to the nose. There was something about breathing in. The cuticles are very important as far as protection of the body, because that's what they do as cuticles. They protect infection from getting in. But there's something about that. The King of Swords is out in his truth, but also closed off. And then I got streetcar named Desire. So desire will defeat you. So as soon as you let desire get out of control, it will take you down. Love cannot be contained. If one is not allowed to love, and this was a message coming up about loving as opposed to receiving love. It's more important for you to be able to give love than receive love, because if you aren't able to love, if you are not allowed to love, you will explode out of the body, the circle, to die, to free yourself. So when someone's not allowed to love, this is why they may kill themselves, because they want to be freed to love. And then the card came up, you deserve love. And then XX, Judgment Day, is here. And that is like the TT, the judgment. But this is XX, because it's 20. And 20 is T, so it's TT. And X is really the same as a T, it's just turned over. Judgment Day is here, and we know what happens when you put T and T together. And temper tantrums. Cupid is the judge. The Emperor sits in judgment, in deep thought about what he's done, thinking of his twin while being with another. The fires burn. He wants to make nice. And then I got a V-back and a gecko present. So if that means anything to anyone, let me know. A V-back, and it's funny V-back because that's a procedure when you deliver a baby, and the gecko present. Spiritual career came up for the Divine Feminine, the truth. And I was getting the truth not told is southwest, is a lie, because it's not told. And then I got checkmate. Justice is blind. I was also getting the true connection is northeast. It's justice exalted. So it's being shown southwest is the truth not told. It's a lie. And the true connection is northeast, where justice is exalted. The Page of Wands came up, showing the tiles on the floor, you know, like the chess pieces, the checkmate. Justice is blind, because T, not contained in human, is at its detriment or its fall. It's a leak in the justice system. A leak in a justice system that could cause a man to drop to his knees and pray. The karmic prays at the full moon, and Spirit's connecting with me, going back to the system, where a closed system functions smoothly, but a leak causes a breakdown. Sometimes systems need to be broken down because they don't work anymore. And I also am seeing in the cards the Empress and the High Priestess were next to each other, but the third one of the Empress was covered, so they were both showing the Empress and the High Priestess as 11s and pi. 11, 11, pi and pi. The Empress and the High Priestess, the Karmic and the Divine Feminine, side by side, aligned. So the portal, or rebirth, is in the foundation of the Divine Feminine's read. After unhappiness, lack of satisfaction, and not getting her wish, the Empress goes through the portal with the new moon energies, okay, which is September 9th, coming up on Sunday. But instead of seeing 0101 vibration, I was seeing 898989, because that's like the death, close to death, the rebirth, the trill of death, as opposed to 0101 as the rebirth, as being born. The death of clinging to the old ways. This is the portal that the Divine Feminine is passing through. Centrally, we have the Fool, the starseed, huge download, fresh start of the Empress and the High Priestess, letting go. So this can be one person or it can be two people, the Empress and the High Priestess. Letting go of the old after feeling sadness and loss. And it doesn't even have to be people. Empress is abundance and High Priestess is about your psychic abilities. But letting go of the old. Now, having multiple offers of love and attention. So the Divine Feminine is going from letting go of the old to allow in the new, the rebirth. And having multiple offers. The challenge for the Divine Feminine is the Queen of Cups, being her loving and nurturing, intuitive self after the King of Cups exposes his fall and the aftermath of it. the end of his family, the end of the pain, to join in big love once it's all cleaned up, to express the harsh truth. Now in the head and heart of the Divine Feminine is actually the Divine Masculine's heart, now warm after the coldness of greed. Coming in passionately in the 5D while wrapping things up presently here, a little slow due to depression, regret, and injustice. Death and rebirth, as the Divine Masculine's crown is cut open to the whole truth of negative self-talk, always in his head when he's feeling passionate. The rebirth of the Divine Masculine's heart. Of the Empress and the High Priestess, both not talking to him in the 3D, so if there's two people in the Divine Masculine's life, maybe they're both not talking to him right now. The karmic, all about the base, all right, about stability, safety, security. All business and her dreams, okay, being selfish. While the Divine Feminine has come into her power, abundance, and psychic abilities to toss away that which is not in her highest good, including suffering, to end the pain, in order for the big love to come in with her twin. The whole truth of passion and her wish for justice, which is truth and balance, and friendship, and also brotherhood came up, specific to the Divine Masculine. Soon the twins are covered in chaos of the lovers. Happy family expressing back and forth about savings and resources and true friendship and what it is. Working to co-create an offer that works for everyone under the King of Cups, unconditional love. The I Am Presence comes up. For the Divine Feminine is the atom, the flower of life, the change in DNA, the feminine I Am Presence, the Queen of Pentacles. Preparing for great love and spirits connecting with me and contentment after not seeing eye to eye, literally, so not seeing eye to eye is disconnected in separation. Or it could just be not seeing eye to eye, not seeing the same things the same way. So religious beliefs comes up, retreat, forgiving and learning, passion, and express your love. The portal of the human body is the vaginal bridge to the womb, the break in the boundary, the non-measure, the quanta. Around the Divine Feminine is the truth of emotions, dolphin sounds, the magenta and emerald light, after suffering to clear wounds. For the Divine Feminine, you're being called to clear blocks of all wounds, peel back the layers of disconnect from source, from divorces, from spirituality, from greed, status, imbalance, success, notoriety, attention, good news, and not even good news can be a block for some. Not seeing or not using your third eye, and money issues, and being cold, and being all about money. And the cards that came up for the Divine Feminine are all about financial discipline and rebirth, but mostly financial discipline. A nightmare to start over and learn after hurting self, the Divine Feminine hurting herself, like burning her own fingers, extending an olive branch for romance to bridge the gap of being left behind. Good news about what was really going on backstage when the Divine Masculine was hiding energy with the King of Cups, the romantic tie of the 5D, and friendship in the 3D alchemize. The Divine Masculine heart alchemizes with the Queen of Pentacles in divine timing. Watch, it's time. After conflict dies down and the 5D goes up. Third party romantic tie not coming together at work in 3D, but now the Queen of Pentacles grounded and connecting fully in the 5D, holding on loosely to her angel, patient and balanced. Karmic death and rebirth to divine truth at the full moon. Okay, so this is literal, complete karmic death. And rebirth to the divine truth at the full moon, fresh start, leap of faith. So I was getting, this can be for some, it can be at the last full moon, and for others, it could be the next full moon, but it also can be the process between the two full moons, okay? Going from the actual karmic of the Divine Masculine to the Divine Feminine, okay? Aligning. Karmic death and rebirth to divine truth at full moon, fresh start, leap of faith, challenged by the emotions of the twin flames, their wounds, the warmth of the Divine Masculine's heart, which is now alchemizing with the Queen of Pentacles, grounded. Truly karma-free, the last of the karmic wounds of the Divine Feminine are squeezed out by the last full moon to clear the path about to begin. And I was also shown in reverse the Ace of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, and the Two of Cups on the Divine Feminine, but they're just being shown upside down because she's preparing for them to all turn right side up. The Ace of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, and the Two of Cups. Okay? Because if you're still in separation. So really beautiful messages. Kind of intense, but beautiful too. And I'm going to pull your oracle cards. So let me know how you resonate and what comes up for you. This is the Ascension deck. It was just 10101. The Ascension deck for the organic, divine masculine, divine feminine, twin flames. What is the advice? What is the message? What is the message? Okay, we have Lady Portia, and the bottom of the deck is Lord Cthulhu, number 36. Okay, and the affirmation for that is I am open to learning and teaching. Okay, beginning of school, teaching and learning. 36 is the 10 of Wands. It's about letting go of your burdens, feeling burden, and letting go of all that hard work to allow. It's the 9 of Endings, of universal selflessness and compassion. And the card that came out was 32, Lady Portia. And 32 is the 6 of Wands, so it's good news, success. Going to war, coming home from war, but it's about success and achievement and good news. And getting attention. So 32 is a 5, that 5 number that comes up again. About expansion, freedom, fun, romance, children. The 2 is the feminine energy on the inside. With the 3 of joy and expansion, socializing, putting yourself out from 2 to 3 on the outside. Of joy, being a very smiley person. Lady Portia is known as the goddess of justice. Justice came up big time today. As Lord of Karma, she tempers justice with mercy and balance. In order to act with these golden qualities, you must let go of your own projections and prejudices and see the whole picture, your perception. When you receive the card, Lady Portia is calling on you to review, and Spirit's connecting with me, an aspect of your life or relationships to bring it fully into the 5th dimension. Be generous-hearted, open-minded, and fair, and step aside from judgment, and then your ascension path will be showered with gold. The affirmation is, I am fair-minded, open-hearted, and non-judgmental. Okay? So it's calling you to be reminded. It's so easy for us as humans to judge others, but it's only our perspective, because if we knew more about the person we were judging or the thing that we were judging, we would probably change our perspective, wouldn't we? Okay. And the reverse is true also. Someone who's completely beautiful on the outside, you may make a judgment and say they're beautiful, but that doesn't mean that they're beautiful on the inside, so it may not be true. So for the organic, divine, masculine, divine, feminine, twin flames, what is the advice from the past life deck? All right, we have health and spirituality and religion. Communal living is at the bottom. About coming together in peace. Okay. And the cards that came out are health. Okay. And spirituality and religion. And how perfect that spirituality and religion, the picture of this, is we're opening a book today, right? Because school just started. And we're bringing light to what's been recorded in words. But also using your hands. Open your hands and your hand chakras. All right? To allow in the energy, allow out the energy of healing. So in being non-judgmental, it's the same with spirituality and religion. To not judge another religion, to allow whatever works for someone is okay. There's a lot in religion that's good, that helps people be in their faith and be spiritual and be kind to themselves. But there are also blocks. But be open-minded and fair. We also have the snake. It's also the kundalini, the health. Allow your kundalini to rise. And that spirituality is part of your health regimen. Okay, it's not just about you know, working out and keeping your weight down and drinking water, but it's also about your spiritual discipline. Okay, you need to have a spiritual discipline to stay in your heart, right? And that's as much about important to your health as eating well and drinking well. So we have financial discipline coming up for the Divine Feminine today, as well as spiritual discipline. And they're all intertwined, which the snake is showing. It's all part of the one. It's showing the chakra column. It's all intertwined, right? The physical health, the spiritual health, the financial health, okay? The mental health. You can't have one without the other, really, okay? You have to have a balance. You have to be at 0 point in moderation on everything. Open your books, but see with your hands. Allow the light to guide your way, because you'll get guidance from the light, your inner guidance. After all, you guys did write all that stuff down, right? In your family lineage or your past lives. It's already in your knowing. And we have the journey of love. Journey of love. Alrighty. Okay. So Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine, Twin Flames. What is the advice? What is the advice? What is the advice for Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine, Twin Flames? Okay. We have Heart of God. At the bottom of the deck is Rings of Time. Number 44 is Rings of Time. And it's number 44, like I said. And I'm seeing the wheel. In one of the cards on the wheel, there's a person kind of like arched around the wheel, like you would arch back on a ball. And that's what I'm seeing with the arm over the wheel. It's like sitting in a chair where your arm's on the arm of the chair, but the arm is a circle. Spinning the wheel. And it's also being shown as the wheel is your hip. Maybe you need attention to your hips. The card that was pulled is the Heart of God, number 9, which we've gotten a lot of 9 today. Again, 9 is about endings, about universal selflessness and compassion, love. The Heart of God. Okay. You see in this card it's very green on the inside. It doesn't look that green on the screen, but it's more green. That inner whiteness is more green. It's green and white with white sparkles over it, with very earthy colors all around it, like the blood, the body, taking care of the heart. Heart of God. So we're going to read the Heart of God, number 9. See what our message is for today. All right, the Heart of God. You are part of something profound, a divine calling and privilege. It is the role of the inspiratrix or the inspirator upon this earth, the women and men who have hearts capable of bliss. Bliss is what we feel when we let God in. The heart opens and we cannot speak for the sensation of it. It cannot be described. Great hearts can tolerate mystery. They can bear the enormity of divine bliss. beyond analysis and description, or simply be. You don't have to do anything with it, you see. To be inspiration is to have a heart open to the divine. It's a life calling. Your heart is an inspirational force to be loved, recognized, and protected for the precious catalyst of divine awakening that it is. Be led by your heart. God is in it, speaking through it, calling you forth to love. And the love that flows through your heart filters out through your toes, dripping on those beneath you as stars falling from heaven. This oracle holds a message for you, direct from the divine. You have a sacred purpose to fulfill upon this earth, and it's all sorted out. This situation, this issue, this awakening that you seek and are living even now, is held lovingly in the hands of the divine Creator. The Creator says to you, leave it with me. It's all unfolding in perfection. I am alive in your heart. I am your heart. And this poem reads, when souls are touched with love sublime, and hearts unleash the wonder found, a promise made somewhere in time of words that speak without a sound, and spirits connecting. In gratitude we transcend space, and bless the gifts we now can keep, of thoughts caress and soft embrace, and eyes allowed to joy to weep, in joy to weep. The moment's song that we compose will leave this life with no regret, and carry forth what we impose, a chart again, a course once set. For what we have is ours to own, each breath a step we measure sweet. Now, together now, we wait alone, and walk in peace, our hearts complete. Okay? So, I believe some new ones are awakening, especially at the beginning of the school year. So for those of you who have been on this path a while, you may be called to help out some others who are just awakening and not understanding why they can't be together when they already are. And to be reminded of their connection with Source, their higher self. And that's how they get through the journey. To become one with yourself, your inner union. Okay. All right. So, some really beautiful messages today. Let me know what you think down below, please. And make sure you drink your water, get your rest. Meditate, 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 ground, ground, ground. And most of all, rise and be loved.